Welcome to this week's Torah lesson. This week's Torah portion is Parsha Tetzaveh. The question of the week is, what is the Chassidic approach to darkness? So in this week's Torah portion, Parsha Tetzaveh, the Torah tells us, V'ata Tetzaveh B'nai Yisrael, that you, Moshe Rabbeinu, are going to command the Jewish people, V'yikhu elecha, they're going to bring to you shemen, oil, which was needed in the temple to light the menorah. And then the Torah is specific and it says, Zayis, obviously the oil is coming from where? From an olive. And the Torah gives a few details. Zoch, it has to be pure. Kassis, it has to be crushed. Lamar, to lighting the menorah. So the question is, when the Torah says Zoch, pure, what is it referring to? Is it referring to the olive has to be pure? That has to be a pure olive, and that's the olive you're going to use to get the oil from? Or is the pure referring to the shemen itself has to be pure? So it's actually a debate between two commentators. One is the Even Ezra, and the other one is Rashi. The Even Ezra says that since the word zoch, pure, comes right next to the olive, zayis, so the pure is referring to olives, that you need pure olives, not beat up olives, crushed olives, spoiled olives. It has to be pure olives. And from the olives have to be pure, and from there you get the shemen for the menorah. The Rashi says, no, the shemen is what you're bringing. So when it says zoch, it's a reference to what? The shemen, that shemen has to be pure. What is the basis of the argument between the Even Ezra and Rashi, whether the pure is referring to the olive, like the Even Ezra, or the pure is referring to the oil, like Rashi? So the Rebbe explains as follows, that olives, when you taste it, they're bitter. We all know in Kedusha, it's all about sweet, it's all about good. So if something's bitter, it's a reference to klipot. So the Even Ezra says that, guess what? When you're dealing with klipot, you got to make sure they're pure. We don't want to have any klipot in the temple. So therefore, the Torah is telling us, you know those olives that are bitter? You got to make sure they're pure. You got to make sure there's no klipot in there. There's no negative energy. And you got to bring only good and positive energy. Rashi, on the other hand, who the Rebbe says is Yenei Shel Torah, Pnimis Torah, the Rashi explains as follows, that the truth is, where does shemen come from? It comes from, what's its source? It comes from the olive. In spiritually, shemen is chachma, intellect. Where does chachma come from? It comes from keser. So the Rebbe says that the olive, which might be bitter, it's because, why? Because it's the source. We can relate to things that are revealed. The shemen, we see shemen. But the source, it's hard for us to relate to. But the truth is, the reason why it's hard for us to relate to, not because it's klipot, on the contrary, because the zayis represents keser, a very, very high level. And therefore, since it's coming from a high level, it's 100% pure. So therefore, there's no reason to be concerned about the source. It's keser itself. Shemen, which is already chachma, which represents bittul, which comes from keser. So the problem is that when the journey between keser and chachma, between the zayis, which represents keser, and the shemen, which represents chachma, on the way there could be some impurity, and the humility that we're supposed to get from keser could be tainted. And therefore the Torah says, according to Rashi, to make sure that that beautiful source that came from the olive, which we know is from keser, when it went down into chachma and went down to shemen, it's 100% pure, and that's why the Torah tells specifically that what should be pure, we're concerned more about the shemen. So you see, Rashi's opinion is that when you look at an olive, you don't see a bitter olive, you see keser. And that's basically, to answer the question, that's the Chassidic approach to joy. What's the Chassidic approach to joy? That we look at life, that when we see darkness, we see that in the darkness is the greatest light. Thanks so much for joining us for our weekly Torah lesson. This week's Torah lesson is dedicated to the memory of Baruch ben Aryeh Leib, Shlomo ben Yosef, and Rachel bas Lipa. May their souls be elevated by the Torah we're studying in their memory. Thanks so much for joining us for our weekly Torah lesson. For more information, please see our website, chabadswf.org. Thank you so much, and Shavua Tov.